If Ron DeSantis thinks he can get away with his racist, anti-black, anti-trans, anti-truth legislation in Florida, he has another thing coming. Check out this headline. Important victory for Florida higher ed. Court upholds block on DeSantis censorship law. You better believe it, baby. The 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Thursday kept in place a preliminary injunction against Florida GOP policymakers' school censorship law in what rights advocates celebrated as an important victory for professors, other educators, and students. This reporting is coming from Common Dreams. Thank you, Jessica. The appellate court denied a request from Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' administration and higher education officials to block a district judge's injunction that is currently preventing enforcement of Stop Wrong Against Our Kids and Employees Act. It's a bunch of BS, y'all. Rebranded by its supporters as the Individual Freedom Act in the state's public colleges and universities. Just really very telling. They want individual freedom when it comes to their freedom to mess around with other people's freedom. What happened to all this smaller government they wanted? And why is Governor DeSantis of Florida dipping into education issues? Don't he have something else to do? Does Florida have something else to do? Inquiring minds want to know. It's a lot of inquiring things we want to know today. Does this dude have anything else to do? Adrienne, your thoughts?
Oh, no, I don't think he has anything else to do other than posture for the 2024 presidential election, because that's clearly what he's doing. He's trying to signal to the rest of the United States that are racist, sexist, homophobic, and all sorts of other isms out there that they subscribe to let them know that he is on their team, but he can do it in a slyer, more socially acceptable way than Donald Trump. And so that's, I think, exactly what he is doing, even though DeSantis knows good and well that that was completely unconstitutional. And so I am very grateful that the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals decided to actually enforce and apply the law here. But again, I don't think DeSantis gives a damn. This is all about posturing and having the appearance of being as hateful as Donald Trump, but having that couth way about it.
There it is. He is more dangerous. Yes, definitely more dangerous than Donald J. Trump, because you see Trump coming. It's the difference between the fox and the wolf. They both dangerous, but at least with the wolf, you know what to expect. The fox, you don't know what to expect. So this dude, I mean, he's smooth enough to really fool a lot of people. Our country would be in great trouble should he become president of the United States of America. But this is it. Adrienne hit it. This is all posturing for 2024. Florida, get your governor, please. Now here's some background on the case itself. The plaintiffs in one of the relevant cases, Purnell v. Florida Board of Governors, are represented by the National and State ACLU, along with the Legal Defense Fund and Ballard Spahr, who first filed the federal suit last August, the same day US District Judge Mark Walker, an appointee of former President Barack Obama, issued a separate injunction against the law related to employees. Now, as we have discussed before on this show, the Stop Woke Act has been replicated by many GOP states. And if we could just rest right here for a minute. We do understand how important it is to really pay attention to what's happening on the federal level of government. It is indeed important. It is also just as important to care about what is happening on the state level of government. Who controls governor mansions, who controls Secretary of State's offices, who controls Attorney General's offices, and who is in control of the legislature. Because this is where most of the ground is being lost in this country. It is right there on the state level. So we got to wake up, America, and stop letting these crazy folks win these offices. So the Stop Woke Act, as we were saying, GOP, they're doing it all over the country. The Stop Woke Act is a part of a nationwide effort by Republican state lawmakers and governors, especially DeSantis, a potential 2024 GOP presidential candidate, to curtail what content can be shared and discussed in classrooms and workplaces. Now, this sounds like they're taking away people's rights, the same rights that they would not want others to take away from them. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, as the saying says, and this is nothing but absolute power taken hold in states all across this country. Now, it doesn't matter if you agree about content here, you have to agree, and I'm talking about what people are teaching in classrooms, you have got to agree that DeSantis and other governors and members of legislatures trying to clamp down on people's licenses to be able to teach in classrooms, that there's something wrong with that. And another thing, folks ain't teaching this nonsense that they talking about in no pre-K to 12 classroom. This is all a ruse. This is all to cover up the fact that these governors can't govern, that these governors will not stand up and do the right thing on behalf of the people who live in their state. So they got to find other nonsense. Foolishness and mayhem is what they brewing, so that they don't look at the man behind the curtain. It's, Adrienne, it's that shell game. That's what they doing. They doing a shell game here. And they bamboozling people on this instead of getting at the substance. What about living wages for people? What about universal health care for people? What about dealing with homelessness in your state? What about dealing with child hunger? Those are real issues that any governor that has some decency about themselves will be focused on, instead of trying to take away the ability for professors in classrooms and colleges and universities across this state, across this country, to be able to teach history, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right. You are absolutely right. The fact is that this is it's a 3-card Molly, but we get hoodwinked in the process because too many people would prefer to really lean into this fear-mongering, this thought that there's going to be some change in culture, the thought that other people's lives that don't impact them somehow affect them. And thus they are okay with focusing all of their efforts on Ron DeSantis's Stop Woke Act and all of these other narratives that they should completely and totally ignore. And unfortunately, mainstream media will uplift it in some regard. But as Nina Turner pointed out, the fact is there are so many other social ills that leadership should be using and investing its time in improving. But they don't do that, no, because they know that speaking to people's internal fears and their hate is definitely more lucrative in terms of staying in office and elevating ourselves to the presidency.
That's it. Grift does pay, and it pays very, very well. Whether you're a grifting politician or a grifter on mainstream media, it pays extraordinarily well, sisters and brothers, family and friends. And that's why we're talking about this. Grift pays. And that's all these people care about. They don't care about changing your material conditions. So don't get fooled by this foolishness and these cultural wars that the Republicans are pushing. They are pushing it, and they pushing it hard. And all they are doing is setting up a play that ultimately hurts all of us in the end. So here's some more analysis from Education Week. Since January of 2021, 44 states have introduced bills or taken other steps that would restrict teaching critical race theory or limit how teachers can discuss racism and sexism, according to Education Week analysis. 18 states have imposed these bans and restrictions either through legislation or other avenues. Education Week, they thank you for laying that out. Again, they don't care about, this is a ruse. Do y'all hear me? This is a ruse. Critical race theory is taught in law school. History, however, is taught in K through 12 and colleges. And why shouldn't it be taught? All of it should be taught. But they want this rosy picture of America that is just not the truth. Why can't we tell all of it? What was beautiful about it and what was not beautiful about it? What was heinous about it and what was not heinous about it? And whether we're talking about race or class or gender or other identities, the only way we grow and transform this nation is to ensure that our young people and not so young people know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about these United States of America. These fools want to make sure that people stay ignorant. Okay, the ignorant. I said it, just the ignorant to what this country really is. And more importantly, Adrienne, I think they want to keep us stuck in time so that this country does not progress. That is the main situation here that we must combat.
That's exactly it, because ignorant people are easy to control. That's why they want to keep us as dumb as possible. They don't want us to have knowledge, because then they're able to do exactly what they're doing now. Play on our fear of people who are different from us, and to really use that to continue their capitalistic pull and keep that 1% alive. Yep, keeps us dumb, under control.
Isn't that the truth? You can control dumb people, and that's what's happening here. So come on, America, let's not fall for it. Now, in other words, the Stop Woke Act wants to whitewash what is discussed in classrooms and workplaces, and that should not be in this country. But the irony is that the right wingers continue to fail on actually defining what woke means. Conservative writer embarrasses herself trying to define woke. Y'all remember that interview? Bethany Mandel appeared on Heels Rising to rail against so-called wokeness, but she couldn't even define it herself. Couldn't even define it. And Bree Joy was so kind with her, so kind. And then she done wrote a piece in Newsweek playing the victim. She ain't the victim here. You get up there talking about a book where the central notion of your book is about how wokeness is destroying the United States of America. You can't even define woke, chick. Then she got the nerve to play victim. Here's another headline: why the GOP is obsessed with woke but can't define it. MAGA can't explain what woke is, but that's the point. It's a choice. It's choose your own bigotry. Sorry, the term for Republicans. That hits the nail on the head real well.